Welcome to The Catalyst, an exciting and insightful podcast produced by Northeast Iowa Community College. I'm your host, Amy Lasik. Together, we'll explore the people, programs, and partnerships that make Northeast Iowa Community College unique. From student success stories to behind-the-scenes info about athletics, innovation, and industry collaboration, each episode dives deeper into your community's college. Get ready for an inside look at the impact of community-driven education at NICC. Well, hello, everyone. I have two fantastic guests today, and I want you to think about whenever you flip on a light switch or you drive a car or you step into a building, you combine a cornfield, you're benefiting from the education of the students that our two guests oversee their programs. So today we welcome two of our deans at Northeast Iowa Community College. We have Mark Gerein, Dean of Power Mechanics, Energy and Construction, and Greg Moklestad, Dean of Advanced Manufacturing, Computer Science, and Agriculture. Welcome to both of you.
Thanks, Amy.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Yeah, so let's start first by you describing what programs are underneath each of you. So Mark, what does Dean of Power Mechanics, Energy, and Construction oversee?
Okay, so basically I overlook all of under the power mechanics side. I have the John Deere Tech program in the Kalmar district. I also have auto in both districts and diesel in Piasta. Under energy, I've got basically the electrical program, which is a 2-year degree program in Kalmar. And then I also have HVAC, gas utilities programs in Piasta. And then construction is primarily our carpenter and business construction management, which is operated out of Kalmar as well.
Great. And Greg, what about you for Dean of Advanced Manufacturing, Computer Science, and Agriculture?
Yeah, so advanced manufacturing is our industrial maintenance and industrial automation and mechatronics programs, our engineering technology program, our CNC machinist program, and our welding programs. And then on the computer science, I have all of our computer programs on our north and south campus, where we have a lot of networking focus, and we also have a programming focus on our Piasta campus. And then up at our Kalmar campus, we have all of our ag programs, so everything from your animal sciences to agronomy and ag business.
Yeah, lots of different areas you both cover. And I know recently we had an open house at our Piasta campus for our Advanced Technology Center. Tell us more about that, and why was there a need for renovation at the Advanced Technology Center?
Well, I'll go first. This is really Greg's dream come true, honestly, but it's really opening up to, I think, the future of what our college needs to deliver for our community industry folks. The Advanced Technology Center, we renamed it that for that very reason, to give it a new, fresh look. We've always had a really good industrial maintenance program. We expanded that a couple of years ago into more automations, so our automation and mechatronics programs, and just to basically really focus on those key areas, we needed more space. And so Greg really came up with the vision of pretty much gutting our first floor, or our second floor, I should say, in the industrial tech, what used to be the industrial tech building, and come up with really what is there today, which is a state-of-the-art facility. I'll let Greg describe everything that he's done in that space.
Yeah, because Greg, it looks completely different than what it looked like before.
Yeah, Mark hit it there where right now technology is changing so fast. And as we are adopting technology, we were just running tight on space. And after scouring across the campuses, we worked together as many teams across this college. And that's how we came up with the idea to remodel the floor of our Advanced Technology Center now. And one of the neat things we did with our new lab is we visited multiple colleges across the upper Midwest here to get a good sense of what best practices are for a forward-thinking lab. And I think it's a good start. And we are also set up infrastructure-wise for future technologies as they come in that space.
So, Greg, what are you hearing from students about the renovation?
Well, I think the student aspect has been pretty positive. One of my favorite things is whenever I visited the lab, you can see out from the lab as well as in from the lab. And when you look out, there's routinely students that are not even a part of the program walking by the windows looking in. So I think a lot of our students realize they're in a future and a positive, new, exciting space, and where there's a lot of cutting edge careers in the future for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you talk about exposure too. And Mark, I've heard this from you multiple times about making manufacturing sexy again, and just really the exposure of manufacturing. So, what have you heard from employers about the new lab?
Well, the open house was really a whirlwind of activity, and I talked to a number of employers there that are key to our success. A lot of them are on our advisory committees, et cetera, and they really love the space. But I think the bigger impact for me was some of the employers that have come through, and we've shown them, kind of one-on-one, where you have a little more time than at an open house, and they love it. They see the potential there. They're really excited about it. And I'd even just kind of build off of that a little bit too. We had students, like former students, come through at our open house, and I had the opportunity to visit with them, and they were just really shock and awe in terms of what we had. They loved it, and I think from a business perspective, this really opens the door to more focused training that they're going to need to upskill their employees in the future as well. And that space and the way we've got it laid out, I think really opens that door to us being able to do that for them in the future.
Yeah, and maybe a little jealous when they came through and saw the new space, and
Yeah.
wishing that they might have had that when they were here. I know when I go on college tours with my kiddos, I'm like, gosh, that would have been nice to have when I went to college. So let's talk a little bit about the role NICC does play with business and industry. Mark, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing when business and industry have needs and how NICC can kind of plug those needs?
I think really what they're struggling with, as everybody is in industry, is just the people aspect of it, and the labor workforce is down right now, and having the quality people to be able to run your industry is a challenge for everybody right now. So industry is really looking to how do I get more efficient with my workforce, and that comes with technology. But the flip side to that is that technology needs to be maintained. It needs to be looked after, and operators need to also know how to operate this new equipment. And so I think what this kind of sets us up for, not just now but into the future, is being able to get in front of what's coming with the future technology. We're in many respects have been catching up. We're at the point now where I think we're in a good spot to be able to offer a lot of different programs, not just with our credit programs, but also through our non-credit side and contract training. And I envision this as being able to do this all in the same space and at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the day or into the evenings or whatever. So I think we're set up really well to be able to do that.
Yeah, Greg, I hear you talk about flexibility, and that is such a need for this particular area for students.
Oh, yeah. The flexibility is a big part of why we designed the lab the way we did. Right now, your traditional classroom structure, which has been changing the past decade to more of a hybrid format, is also continuing to evolve to fit with a work-life balance. A lot of our students are working outside of taking classes or having family or other commitments, and having a space where we can actually modify your educational pathway, whether that's non-credit apprenticeship RTI or even credit through our CBE programming. We should be able to meet most of our student and business partner needs for those learning skills. So having that flexible environment is just a piece of the whole team that goes into the flexibility that it takes.
So you used an acronym that we use a lot in education that folks might not be familiar with, CBE. So can you talk a little bit about what that means and how this whole new lab concept fits into CBE?
Yes, the CBE means competency-based education, and knowing that most people don't know what that really means, that is okay. And the nice thing is in a lot of our advanced manufacturing and especially our industrial technologies, we've actually been teaching in a competency-based model for many decades. And that's why I'm going to do my usual description of shop class. Like a lot of generations have experienced a shop class or a wood shop class. For a real good example is the teacher gives a whole group of 20, 30 students a project, whether it's a cutting board, a stool, or a chair. And you have to learn how to use a whole bunch of different tools in order to accomplish that end product. And in the industrial technologies, we've been teaching in that way for a long time. And that's why competency-based, we already do a little bit of it, and now we're adding the flexibility. So in that shop example, no school has 20 table saws or 20 routers to accomplish a project, but somehow you still get 20 students through that project all around the same time. And that's kind of the goal with our CBE is we are taking some of those traditional modalities of a lab environment and modifying it for our college and academic programming.
That's pretty cool. And Mark, from an employer standpoint, I have to believe that CBE is huge for them.
Well, I think so. We've talked about it at our advisory groups on a number of different occasions. And I think the biggest thing that it offers them is not just the flexibility that, we have a number of students who are currently employed and sponsored by those employers. It gives them the flexibility to work. But I think the biggest thing too is with competency-based, students master their skills. So they master competency as they roll through the program. And that is something that an employer can take to the bank, basically knowing with confidence that that individual who works for them has the skill set that they've covered it and have done it and mastered that skill to be able to take with them to the workforce.
Yeah, huge. And a lot of times employers may hire somebody that is very strong in certain areas, but needs a little help in certain areas too. And they can utilize the lab as a follow-up to fill that gap.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, I mentioned it earlier, we have the opportunity to do focused training for industries as they need it. And in this ever-changing world, I mean, it's with technology coming, that's going to be more and more as we move forward. And so employers aren't going to have the ability to just do all this on their own. And so they can look to us to help upskill their employees as they move into a new technology, whether it be, robotics center, cobots, whatever the case may be. They can upskill employees as they develop in their careers, and we'll be there for that ride. So.
Yeah, so many changing technologies in the areas you both oversee. A question for both of you, how do you keep up your faculty to make sure that they have the newest and understanding of what's happening within business and industry and providing them with what they need?
Yeah, so a lot of our faculty come from industry from all different periods of time. And as Mark and I have been talking, industry has been changing very rapidly in the past decade. So with that technological change, you cannot even have 10 years of experience or even 20 or 3 in some cases. So we are actively getting professional development for our faculty. Like recently, we've been adopting more into FANUC robotics, and we've been professionally training our faculty to teach students for future years, and we're going to have to keep doing that.
Great. And I know you have a really great set of faculty under both of you, very dedicated, passionate for the students. I think the one thing that's common amongst community colleges is that the individuals that work within your areas can make a lot more money not teaching, going out and actually doing the trade that they're in, but they teach because they're passionate about that. Can you talk a little bit about your faculty?
Well, I think you pretty much summed it up. I think most of our faculty have that passion to pass on what they've learned through their career in industry, and they take pride in being able to get that through to students as they progress in their careers. There is a benefit, I think, to faculty because it's a little slower pace than it would be in industry because you're teaching, and you go as fast as your students can learn the content. So I think there's an advantage to that, but I think more than anything for most of them, it's really being able to pass on what they've had the opportunity to gain and learn through their careers and pay it forward, if you will, to their students.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, real difference makers, faculty are. So, Greg, one of the terms that a lot of conversations within this area involve industry or manufacturing 4.0. Can you summarize what exactly that means?
Yeah, so Industry 4.0 is the fourth industrial revolution. Right now, we are in a time period where technology has been really taking off, but it's all becoming interconnected. So a lot of the technology has already existed for many years, but now we've reached a point where everything is starting to work together. So in the fourth industrial revolution, that is that interconnectedness. So that is everything from data to robotics and automation to even simulating doing a task before accomplishing it, cloud computing, and then a real getting on the scene right now is the Internet of Things. And then when you have that interconnectedness, it can get shut down pretty fast. So cybersecurity is a part of that too. So as a part of this fourth industrial revolution, a lot of businesses are starting to cross-integrate their different fields so then they can work even more efficient in the workplace. So we have been looking at our programming and how can we best set up our students to work in that cross-disciplinary environment. So we have been actively going through our programming, doing business and industry leadership teams to make sure that the skills are aligning with these new careers that are unfolding every year.
Yeah, that's great. You mentioned the built process, which, Mark, I know you've done several of those with the college.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the business and industry leadership teams and what does that accomplish?
Well, what we've done with the business and industry leadership teams is it's really an extension of our advisory groups where we actually put our industry members to work for a short period of time. And what we do is we take all of our learning objectives in a program and we'll add in anything that we think could be relevant to a future change or add to a program. and we'll have industry rank all of those learning objectives as to how that particular learning objective, what it means to them and their place of business. And so when you have 7 or 8 or 10 or 15 different industries in your group, they have a variety of different perspectives on what's important and what's less important.
Mhm.
And that all comes out when we rank these learning objectives. And what we like to see is fairly high scores on all of them, but that's not realistic. There's going to be areas that just don't, they're not that important to certain industries. And now they might be a stepping stone to more content that we have to cover that is important to industry, but it gives us the capability to look back at our curriculum, like deep dive into the curriculum, and really look at what's important, what we need to spend more time on, and what we need to spend less time on, and maybe what we need to add or actually take out of the program. And so we've been pretty successful at revamping a number of programs doing that. I'll use the example of our industrial automation and mechatronics program. So we did that probably 3 years ago now, I think, where we brought that in. We ran it through the built process to make sure that we were hitting the mark. And so that along with our industrial maintenance program gives students the option of kind of a 2-degree path. And it was all done through the built process. And I think industry gets engaged in it. And the biggest thing about it is when you look at the results, we talk about it.
Yeah.
And we try and draw out why the results are what they are. Like why did this particular item maybe score a little bit lower than we thought, or why is this very important to you? And we'll get the real root to what they're looking at. It gets our industry members engaged in the program and really telling us what we do. And then at the end of it, we always ask, well, what are we missing? And we usually get 1 or 2 nuggets there that we didn't cover. And then we start thinking about, well, how do we add that into the program as well? So I think it's been pretty successful. We don't overdo it. We try and do it and refresh it every 3 or 4 years. So there'll be more coming. It's kind of a regular piece of a number of our programs now. So
Yeah. I think the one thing I'm hearing from both of you is how important industry involvement is to the success of your programs. And one of you mentioned advisory committees as a big part of that. Can you talk a little bit about what those are? And if a company is not already part of an advisory committee or involved with NICC in any way, what can they do next? What are their next steps if they want to be involved?
So advisory committees are a staple piece of all tech programming across the United States. And every program that Mark and I shared that we're over has an advisory group of our local community, because as a community college, we serve that community. And in order to train students to work in that same community, we have to talk to the community, and we're only as strong as the community involvement. So that's where the advisory comes in. So for example, in the advanced manufacturing fields that I talked about, and Mark talked about earlier with industrial maintenance, we got a group of area employers, and they come in. They come from either management, HR, employees, and they will discuss what's new, current, and relevant in their fields, because we want to serve that same community piece. And for all of our other programs, whether it's HVAC or diesel or gas utilities, you just reach out to the community college, or you could even reach out to Mark and I, and we'll get you on those teams so you can help us make the best programming possible for our area.
yeah, definitely add that in. We'll take any and all. in terms of advisors, because we've got a good core group on many of our programs. Others we could use more, to be honest. And so we'll take anybody. We don't turn anybody away. So yeah, if anybody's listening and wants to be part of that, just reach out to us.
It's nice too to be able to show students that if you go through this program, here are all the employers that are invested in what you're learning. They provided input. They understand at the end of your program what you're going to know. So that is a nice piece of it, is connecting the student to the employer. I know we recently received great news at the college about a new grant that we received that will help us with that CBE piece that we talked about a little while ago. Can you talk about that, Greg?
Yeah, so we recently got awarded a National Science Foundation grant, so an NSF grant. It is $454,000. It'll be over the next 3 years. And the goal of that grant is to work on our competency-based education that I was talking about earlier. And the goal of working on that competency-based education is to create that flexibility that was talked about earlier as well, and allowing our rural and veteran populations have a greater access to these exciting academic programs, because we cover a large area here in Northeast Iowa. It takes almost 2 hours to get between the two campuses. So one of the ways we can meet our community is by having that competency-based education. So with that grant, working on the competency piece, we will be able to grow our coaching and curriculum in such a way where students can work with our future CBE coaches to maybe have 2-3 big days of work on campus, and then that way you can work the rest of the week, and then you're not driving as many days of the week. We have students that commute an hour to campus. If we can lower the amount of times you have to travel to campus and still meet that same academic rigor, that is vital to serving our rural populations. And then the veteran piece of the competency-based education is when you go through the military, depends on your job, you might already have gotten training and skills that might not have the same credentials that the academic institutions have. So with the competency-based education, working with our entire team, whether it's the instructors, our CBE coaches, or even the deans, we should be able to help assess how much you've learned and get you in an appropriate spot of that program so you can finish it in an even more timely manner than before. So serving those needs, most of the money will be going towards that professional development, because the CBE model, although we're teaching in that framework, it's an entire ecosystem. We need to support our students to get to that competency point of it's like a B or higher, and we want to be able to circle the wagons around you to make sure you are successful in getting what you are paying for. And same for the employers, that you know that the product that is coming out of this college is a well-learned student. So
Right.
that requires a lot of professional development and looking at best practices, and the grant covers a lot of those activities.
Right. And I love that you're building in the coach piece of it too, because that certainly helps the student get guided through the process and doesn't leave them feeling not sure where to go next, because it is a different way of learning. And Mark, I imagine from the employer standpoint, we hear all the time from employers that they're wanting folks to work. What can we do at NICC to help them get more employees? This ability to flex things so that they can learn and then on the other days go work is going to be huge for employers.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing with the CBE model that we're looking at, and we're really already doing it in many areas. It does give our students the opportunity to cover their education when they can and work at the same time. So that benefits them as well as the companies. It, you know, I mentioned we have a number of industry members that actually sponsor employees to come to school as well. So that offers that flexibility. Plus, it, you know, down the road, I think, and we do it now, but I think it'll grow in terms of just being able to upskill employees. One thing, you know, that we will be doing as we go through this CBE journey is more of a micro credential type of approach, where we will be adding smaller chunks of learning, right? Same content, you know, as we're doing today, but in smaller chunks, and that will be advantageous for industry, because they'll be able to come in and almost pick content a la carte that they need for their employees, and set up a specific training tailored to their needs.
Yeah.
And that'll be
Customization.
huge for, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, name of the game, customization. So if a student is out there, or if an employer is out there, could I have each of you give us your email addresses? Mark, we'll start with you.
So yeah, it's my last name, Gerein, M is in Mark, at nicc.edu.
Great. And Greg?
Yeah, and then same for me. It is my last name, Moklestad, and then G for Greg at nicc.edu.
Fantastic. And it's clear that the work that you do, you're very passionate about it. You're making a difference in student lives. Your faculty are making a difference. You're impacting the local economy and workforce. So thank you for all that you do. Great discussion today. So again, thank you to Mark Gerein and Greg Moklestad, our two deans at NICC. And thank you for sharing your insights. And thank you, everybody that has been listening. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Catalyst. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Want to learn more about NICC and the many ways we support our students, partners, and community? Visit nicc.edu for more resources and upcoming opportunities. This podcast is produced by Northeast Iowa Community College and hosted by me, Amy Lasik, with executive producer Tessa Hill, producer Travis Hunt, and graphic designer Ashley Konzen.